Hello and welcome to the Cade and Eric Show here. Just wanted to thank everybody who listens. We've got some new listeners here, so I really appreciate it. To everybody who's continued to listen, thank you. It is great. This is a fun experience. Apologize for getting this episode out a little bit late. I usually like to do them Tuesday or Wednesdays, but today is Thursday, so I apologize for getting this out a little bit late. It's been a busy week, so I apologize for not getting this out and picked up some extra hours on my day job. So anyway, so I'd just like to thank everybody for who listens. I'm on the different socials, all the different socials that are around the world here. Well, at least the United States, not necessarily around the world. But I have a Facebook page, The Cade and Eric Show on Facebook, and then Twitter, Truth Social, both Cade and Eric Show. So you can pick that up there. And also TikTok, too, is the Cade and Eric Show on TikTok. So that's been fun. I've been putting out a whole bunch of videos, a bunch of Common Sense Theaters has dropped on, and I've also put out a whole bunch of pictures of the United States because, like I said last week, I'm just kind of tired of all the negative crap that is being told about the United States and talked about how we're this evil, awfulness country that just needs to pay for everything, pay for everybody's whining and anyway, so there you go. So yeah, just go look those up. Please like, follow, share, rate on the different podcast apps. That way, more people see it and it goes. Hopefully, we can get this thing to go viral. That would be great. That would be amazing. So thank you to everybody who listens and welcome to episode 14 here in the Cade and Eric Show. Just a fun little story. Speaking of my, I mentioned this before here, but I am in healthcare as a profession, and so it's like a home health. I go to different patients' homes and see what they need. And so one of them, I was last week. We were going to the store because they needed groceries and just a bunch of errands and things like that. And everybody knows, if you've listened to other episodes, I'm a big Houston Astros fan. We lived in Houston for a long time. That's where I picked up healthcare. I did EMS and mostly transfers down there. I was a certified firefighter. I never could get a fire gig, but I did do the transfers in EMS, so I saw a lot of patients and different things. Anyway, so we were come here with one of my patients and just going to the different, running different errands. We were at a grocery store here, Kroger, and I'm wearing an Astros shirt and an Astros hat. And this, nice gentleman. He's an older gentleman. He comes up to me. And he's like, Astros, and I was like, yes, sir. And he's like, well, I hope you have a bad day. And so I was just there laughing, and then my patient, he told it to like the cashier, and the cashier, because I assume he was a Texas Rangers fan, although he was not wearing any paraphernalia. So if he was a Rangers fan, you're not repping him very good. So there you go. He did look like he was wearing some kind of a Augustus t-shirt or polo though. So I don't know if that's what he. Anyway, it was just kind of funny. I was just there laughing the whole time. Because there's, baseball fans, unless you are an Astros fan, Astros are not very liked very much because the whole stupid sign stealing thing, and probably the fact that they have been the best team in the last 6 years, winning 2 World Series, going to the World Series 4 times, and the ALCS 6 times in a row. So this year it's a bit different. We've got a lot of injured guys, so it's been kind of frustrating. They did beat the A's tonight, thank goodness, because they were the worst team in baseball. So that was good. The Yankees, though. Let's talk about the Yankees for a second. I believe that the AL East, the American League East, is probably the best division in all of baseball. why I say that is because every single team is above 500. Even the Yankees, who are dead last in their own division, which is just fantastic. All the Yankees and their like 27 rings, 27 wins, blah, 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 blah. They are dead last in their division. Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, it's great to see them dead last. And, you know, I guess they're riddled with injuries, but so are we. And we're still second. The Rangers, man, they are just out of the All-Star break. They've won six in a row. They were off today, but dang, nabbit. I thought, oh, okay, we've got a week schedule here coming out of the All-Star break. You know, the first week here, and we were only down 2 games to the Rangers, but no, I think we're down 4. So, because we lost one to the Angels and one to Colorado the other day. So, yeah. Anyway, there's enough about sports, and so now let's get into the good stuff, the meat of the episode. So today, you know, like I said last week, if you listen to last week's episode, I was going to talk about global warming because King Charles has now put out his stupid doomsday clock that says, hey, we're going to end, the world's going to end, or we're going to burn up, or, you know, some kind of nonsense in 6 years and whatever days and minutes. So I thought I'd get into the whole global warming nonsense. First, since we're talking about lovely leaders of the world, let's hear from our very own vice president and what she has to say about the climate, you know, crisis, supposedly, that we're in. So let's take a listen to that.
When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population...
Wait, what?
More of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
Wait a minute, what'd she just say? What? Hold on, let's replay that. Just listen real close. Let's listen real close to what her brilliance, her amazingness has to say. And what did she just say we need to do to reduce the sort of global warming?
When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population...
What? Reduce population? So, we need to reduce population, right? That's what she just said. Okay. Anybody else find that alarming? Anybody else find that very alarming, that what we need to do to fix this made-up crap that we have anything to do with the weather and changing it is to reduce the population. So the population of the entire planet would fit comfortably inside the whole state of Texas. Okay, and so we have all the land, all the rest of it. I mean, when you fly in an airplane, there are open spaces forever. Okay, if you hopefully if people have flown on airplanes, listen to the podcast. But you fly in an airplane, and there is just land forever, and there's nobody that you find. Everyone, you know, you fly into cities, you fly out of cities, and in between the cities is lots and lots and lots of land. So this whole overpopulation thing is it's wild. I mean, yikes. But that's our vice president, ladies and gentlemen. That is our vice president. So I thought I'd give everybody a little taste of the common sense here. Let me get this pulled up because it's very appropriate for what we're talking about here. My little common sense that I did. So to give you a little taste to what you can expect listening to common sense, I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious. I love doing it. So if you have it, go check it out on TikTok. I also post some of these on my Twitter. So here is what I had to say about the climate.
Hello, and once again, welcome to Common Sense Theater as part of the weekly podcast, The Kate and Eric Show. Remember to like, subscribe, follow, and share wherever you listen to your podcasts, as well as Common Sense Theater. Today's Common Sense is, do not be an imbecile. Now remember, when you're out there championing your viewpoints with your banners and signs, Why inflict personal bodily harm upon yourself, proving nothing? Case in point here, well, there's too many blasted cases. Too many points are those awesome climate activists out there champing, thinking we can change the weather by not driving our cars and flying in our airplanes. And they then subsequently glued their own hands to the road, and then were not able to remove their hand from the road, having the pieces of the road cut out. And probably they're going to lose their hands because they cannot remove the road piece from their hand. So remember, do not be an imbecile. Thank you, and have a good night.
So I thought that would be fun. That's fun. That's great, huh? So, so that's just a little taste of common sense. That one had to be the idiots that glued themselves to the freaking road. And so this one is the next thing I want to share is it's a video, but the sound of the guy who has glued, because they use an epoxy and cement or sand, and then in Germany to protest the climate, we have to protest the climate because this is awful what we're doing. And so they decided to glue their hands. There was two women there that glued their hands, and then the piece they were glued together, and they were stuck to a piece of concrete. So it's just idiots. Just, what do you do? I mean, what is that going to prove? Oh, you're, dang it, you glued your hand to the road, and now you can't get it off the road, and that's going to stop me from driving my car and, like I said, flying in our airplanes. So let's just listen to this guy, and the EMS are there trying to get this guy's hand off the freaking road, but they can't, so he's having a little fit. Listen. Hold on, I want to do that again. Oh my gosh. I have no idea what they're saying because they're speaking in German. I took that in high school, but I do not remember anything. I remember how to count, but anyway. This guy, he's got his hat on. He throws it down as they're trying to chisel his hand off the road because he's an idiot. He's an imbecile, and he decides to glue his hand to the road. So do not be an imbecile. Anyway, just wonderfulness. Isn't that great? It's just stupidity, and that's what you get for being stupid. Now you might lose your limb. And what exactly did you prove in doing that? Don't know. You should ask him. So let's take a look at the little timeline here of the global warming nonsense. And because there were times when they were like, oh yeah, this is global warming, and then they were like, no, this is global cooling, and blah, 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 blah. So they really didn't start keeping temperatures, I believe, until the 1880s, around there, and it wasn't very accurate, and it was not globally. They didn't actually start keeping track of the temperatures until probably like the 1900s. So this whole mess of the world's going to end because you're driving a car or you're flying in an airplane. Meanwhile, all the idiots that are saying all this stuff, like the Hollywood elites and the politicians, meanwhile they're flying around the world in their little private jets, that are supposedly killing the planet, but they can fly around in their jets and come to these meetings and tell how everybody else that they need to stop flying, but they're going to fly. Just like John Kerry, Leonardo DiCaprio come to mind. Just extremely hypocritical. That's what I say. If you're going to tell somebody to do something, if they were really that concerned, they would fly commercial, or they wouldn't fly at all, and they wouldn't be driving in their fancy cars and all this other nonsense. So let's just see the timeline here, kind of when all this crap started. So the 1930s, global warming trends, since the 19th century reported, they were thinking that there was going to be an ice age. So let's see. Then the start. This timeline here that I'm looking over here. Then World War II starts. There wasn't a whole lot. Obviously, there wasn't much to do there. This is kind of an important thing because this is probably where all this started. The U.S. Office of Naval Research begins generous, mind you, funding of many fields of science, some of which happen to be useful for understanding climate change. So let's kind of remember that point. Generous funding. So let's go on. That was 1945, by the way. Let's see. 55, Phillips produced a convincing computer model of the global atmosphere. 56, Irving and Dawn offer a feedback model for abrupt climate change. And let's see, Soviets launched Sputnik in 57. But remember, 45 is when funding, generous funding. Telescopes in 58. Telescope studies show a greenhouse effect raises temperature of the atmosphere of Venus far above the boiling point of water. So that's probably where they get this whole ridiculous idea of the greenhouse warming, is because of Venus, but its atmosphere is completely different than ours. So obviously there's no life on the planet Venus, unlike the planet Earth. So let's see here. 60, we're up to 1960. We have the Cuban Missile Crisis, which kind of freaks everybody out. Well, I wasn't around then, so I don't know. That's what I've heard. Let's see. First meeting of experts in 63 concerning the global warming warns that a rise in sea level is likely with immense flooding of shorelines. That's the big thing that they always talk about. But in the meantime, all the politicians, like the Al Gores or the Barack Obamas or whoever else, but they always seem to buy beachfront property. So, yeah, I don't know how that exactly works. What do they get? And it's not like the ones on stilts. It's like a home. It's on the ground. So I guess their home's going to be washed away on the beachfront there. Not to mention that when Plymouth Rock, when the Pilgrims came over to Plymouth Rock, there's the rock from 1620 that's still visible. So where's all the water then, if that rock is still showing from 400 years ago? Anyway, just they don't want you to think about that stuff though. They just want you to go along with it because it's all about funding and power, control, and money. So let's see, go to the 60s. I guess they thought the warming in the 60s. Then you get to the 70s, right? You got 69, the moon was there. We went to the moon in 69. Let's see, 1970 is when they thought about cooling. The Earth was going to cool. We were going to be in an ice age again. So first it's global warming, and now it's global cooling. And then 70s, 80s. Let's skip to the 80s. Let's see here. 78, attempts to coordinate climate research in the U.S. end with inadequate National Climate Program Act, according to the accompanied by rapid but temporary growth. Oh my goodness, I can't talk tonight. Growth in funding. So there you go. 79, oil crisis. I wonder if this was all kind of planned out. That there, in the 70s there was the energy shortage or oil shortage. I wonder if that was on purpose so that people would freak out and be like, oh, we got to do something, because Democrats and liberals don't, they don't miss a beat. They don't miss a beat when it comes to emergencies. So, but luckily in the 80s, we got Reagan in the White House, and election of Reagan brings backlash against environmental movement to power. Political conservatism is linked to skepticism about global warming. Thank goodness for him. Good. So then he skipped with the 80s. I guess there was, although I don't remember the 80s very well, some of it. Then you've got the Chernobyl incident in 86. Meltdown of reactor of Chernobyl. Soviet Union cripples plans to replace fossil fuels with nuclear power. Because everybody looks at the nuclear power plants and sees they see all that white smoke coming out, and it's all just water vapor. It's not like it's bad for the environment or anything like that. Of course, if your nuclear reactor melts down, that's probably bad for the environment, though. Then you get to the 90s, and of course, I remember in the 90s, everybody was talking about the ozone layer. There's a hole in the ozone layer, and if we don't do something about it, then we're, the hole in the ozone layer, which I don't remember ever anybody saying exactly where the hole was. There was just a hole somewhere in the ozone layer that it was just going to burn our faces off, and I think we're all still here, right? That was 1990s, and we are how far away from the 90s? That maybe that hasn't happened yet. So I don't know. Maybe we're still looking to have our faces burnt off. But yeah, 2023, 1990s. Maybe we haven't gotten there. So there's that. And then of course, then the last 2 decades, it's all been global warming, and once that and all their projections of when the world's gonna end never ever have come true. I think Greta Thunberg recently there was a tweet that was going around that was like she predicted the end of the world, but it was supposed to happen like 3 years ago. When she predicted it was like 2008 or something. I don't remember the exact dates, but I think we're all still here, right? I'm here, right? I'm feeling the stuff around. Yeah, I'm still here. You're still here. I'm still here. Everybody's still here. So, yeah. So there you go. The first major books, movies, and artwork featured global warming appear. 2004, we had the wonderful, although I've never seen this stupid movie, The Inconvenient Truth by Al Gore. I didn't waste my time watching that. Had the wonderful hockey stick thing where they controversy scientists concluded that the post-1980 global warming was unprecedented for centuries or more. Everything's unprecedented to these people. So it's just one thing after another, one lie after another, and nothing has happened. The world hasn't ended. We're still, the earth is great. We have enough, there's enough food, there's enough water, there's enough everything for everybody that's living on this planet. Because it's like, maybe there was some intelligent design for the planet, and that intelligence knew that there would be a lot of people right now, and so the Earth might seem like it's a little warmer, but that's probably a good thing, seeing how we need to feed all these people that are on this planet. So, what a better place to have warming is than when it's nice and warm on the planet. So, there you go. So anyway, it's just one lie after another. Nothing has ever come of their stupid predictions. Nothing has ever happened from what they've said is going to happen. And then you have more idiocy from our elected officials. The lovely, the magnificent, from Minnesota, the wonderful anti-Semite Congresswoman from Minnesota. Use all that I don't even know what's her first name. Ilhan Omar, the one that famously said that on 9/11 some people did something. Yeah, that one. The one that has recently voted to not support Israel in the Congress. She was one of 9 that voted not to support Israel, which is great. Isn't that awesome that we have that in the White House? Or in the White House, talking about Joe Biden, in our Congress. So what she tweeted out the other day was, the Earth just broke the record for the hottest day in 120,000 years. In fact, we broke in on 3 separate days. Climate emergency now. Oh my gosh. 120,000 years. Wow. Dang, man. She must have some records that nobody else on the planet has, if she's talking about 120,000 years ago. So the great Senator Mike Lee from Utah tweeted back at her and said, "Oldest progressive play in the book. All socialism starts out with emergency." And he put a picture of what's this guy, Dr. Evil from Austin Powers, and doing the air quotes emergency, because that's all it is. It's all about funding. Like I pointed out in 1945 is when they started generous funding, and that's all it is. It's just money taking away more freedoms and just isolating power to the elites. So hopefully you've enjoyed that loveliness. So yeah, global warming. Man-made global warming is a bunch of crap. So I do not believe it. Because anything that they've ever said, anything that they've ever predicted has all never happened. So, but they've all gotten rich though. Al Gore's gotten a lot of money for saying this crap. So there you go. It's all about money, power, and taking away more for them and less for us. On a different note, we had our first Republican debate brought to you by The Blaze, the network that Glenn Beck owns and has. So he had Tucker Carlson on there, and he interviewed a whole bunch of the different candidates for president. Donald Trump did not attend. He did not feel like he needed to, I guess, because he's so far ahead in the polls. But anyway, there was tons of them, a bunch of them there. So let's just take a little listen to what some of them had to say. Some of it's very interesting. Some of it is very kind of disturbing. So let's start here with Asa Hutchinson. He is running for president, and he is talking with Tucker about child's transitioning, like the medicine and things, children transitioning from one sex to the other.
Delaying a child's natural progression from childhood to adulthood through adolescence. You described that as, quote, treatment. And so that raises clearly you've answered the question. You believe it's treatment. You believe, I suppose, that people can change their sex. Because if you don't believe that, you wouldn't call it treatment, would you?
I love that laugh from that guy. So yeah, he couldn't really answer that. So that's awesome. Isn't that good? So because he thinks that it's giving the drugs, the hormonal therapy to these kids isn't life changing. It doesn't change them forever, and now things are coming out that it in fact does. Let's go with so he's probably done. That's Asa Hutchings, but let's go with Tim Scott here. See what Tucker had to say with him. Ooh, let's turn the sound on. That would help too.
Russia's a threat. Putin's evil. Got it. But the total body count from Russia in the United States is right around zero. Like, I don't know anyone who's been killed by Russia. I know people personally who've been killed by Mexico. The government of Mexico allows fentanyl to be made in its country and to come over our border.
Yes.
And remittances from Mexico are a huge part of their economy. The Mexican government is party to the murder of hundreds of thousands of Americans. So why is Mexico less of a threat than Russia?
Well, two things. I think we can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Okay, but
frankly, here's
no Americans killed by Russia, hundreds of thousands killed by Mexico, but Mexico's our ally and Russia's our enemy. How does that work?
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend like the legislation I had sponsored and I would sign as President of the United States freezes the assets of the Mexican cartels, targets the Mexican cartels, and hopefully eliminates the flow of fentanyl. Because I do agree with you that 70,000 Americans losing their lives on an annual basis is an existential threat to America that we can solve. We don't have to choose. The good news is
would you be willing to say to the Mexican government, your economy runs on factories right over the border, car plants, for example, but many other manufacturing plants, and we're just going to slap tariffs on that and tank your economy, like tomorrow, unless you stop allowing poison to come into our country? Like, why not do that?
Exactly.
We use every tool available to stop fentanyl from coming across our border. No exceptions.
Interesting.
So there you go. Not very good, but not too horrible. I think, we should definitely hone in there on Mexico and make them more responsible for the crap that's coming across our southern border. So let's then go to Ron DeSantis, see what he had to say.
That's a year and a half from now, say, and let's just say it's static. It's where it is right now. What do you do about it? How do you act?
One, Europe needs to do more. This is their backyard. We have NATO countries that don't produce support for their own defenses, and we're supposed to do it, and we're taking away weapons and ammo that could go to respond to contingencies overseas. So we would do more in terms of the Pacific, and the goal should be to bring it to a conclusion. You bring it to a conclusion in a way that's a sustainable peace and that doesn't reward aggression, and you have to be able to use different levers that you have. I mean, for example, one of the leverages I would use vis-a-vis Russia is I would do our own energy exploration and send it over to Europe so they don't have to rely on Putin. I would stop giving Iran a free pass like Biden is because they're funding Russia. So we have some ability to use this, but the goal should be we cannot have a quagmire that goes on for years and years. And seeing Biden put those troops there, I can tell you, we cannot have American troops in Ukraine. That is a total non-starter.
Amen. I like that. Like that a lot. I have to say, Europe needs to pull their fair share in this. Yeah, they're right there. I still don't understand what our national interest is in defending Ukraine so badly. It just kind of baffles me because we have cities in our own country that are just full of crap. Literal crap is all over their streets. And yet we're shelling out hundreds of billions of dollars, weapon systems, all kinds of things to Ukraine to help them in their war against Russia. And meanwhile, we're all suffering here. So, I'll make that make sense. Then along that line here, let's, this is a great quote from, or great clip here from Mike Pence was asked about the very thing of the Ukraine and Russia war going on. So let's hear what Mike Pence had to say, our former vice president.
The Biden administration has been slow in providing military support. Make no mistake about this. We promised them 33 Abrams tanks in January. I heard again 2 weeks ago in Ukraine, they still don't have them. We've been telling them to train their F-16 pilots, but now they're saying maybe January we'll let somebody transfer some jets.
I'm sorry, Mr. Vice President, I know you're running for president. You are distressed that the Ukrainians don't have enough American tanks. Every city in the United States has become much worse over the past 3 years. Yeah. Drive around. There's not one city that's gotten better in the United States. And it's visible. Our economy has degraded. The suicide rate has jumped. Public filth and disorder and crime have exponentially increased. And yet, your concern is that the Ukrainians, a country most people can't find on a map, who've received tens of billions of U.S. tax dollars, don't have enough tanks. I think it's a fair question to ask, where's the concern for the United States in that?
Well, it's not my concern.
What?
Tucker, I've heard that routine from you before, but that's not my concern. I'm running for president of the United States because I think this country's in a lot of trouble.
Well, it's not his concern? Make that make sense. So is he saying it's not his concern what's going on in Ukraine, or is it not a concern what's going on here in the United States, the country he's supposedly running for president for? So I don't know, make that one make sense. So I think he's probably done. Let's see, we got that. Let's do now this. I think this guy here, he's how do you say his name? Ramashami. Vivek Ramashami or something like that. I forget. I butchered his name, but he was then asked by Tucker, kind of what caused January 6th. So this is what he has to say.
There's such a temptation to say that there's one man whose name is unspeakable. We can't.
No, first of all, it's QAnon.
Put up.
It's QAnon.
You want to know what caused January 6th? Is pervasive censorship in this country in the lead up to January 6th. You tell people in this country they cannot speak. That is when they scream. You tell people they cannot scream. That is when they tear things down. And so the reality is, we were told that you could not question where the virus came from when we all knew it came from a lab in Wuhan, which now they admit. We were told that you could not send a private message to someone on the eve of an election, that Hunter Biden's laptop story was actually a true story worth considering before an election. You were systematically suppressed. So think about this. You told you had to be locked down, had to take a vaccine that was mandated and forced down your throat, stay locked down in your home while Antifa and BLM roam and burn the streets of this country. So that's the lead up of one full year of telling people you have to shut up, sit down, and do as you're told. And then you tell them, okay, there was an election where you didn't get the information that you needed, such as the Hunter Biden laptop story being real suppressed. That's what caused January 6th.
It makes sense. It makes sense. People were pissed because they were told that they could not even go see their relatives in nursing homes, and they had to sit outside in their car or outside of windows, and they couldn't go and touch their relatives. They were told that they couldn't be around other people. They were told that they had to mask up like 50 masks to go to the grocery store, or they couldn't go at all. So, it's just, it makes sense what he said, that January 6th was very, very frustrating, though I do not. Plus, the evidence is there that there were federal agents driving the rage of the crowds, and so that, it just to make things a lot worse. So that was great. Hopefully, just some amazing things and some very good things. I like what Ron DeSantis said. I like what Vic, I think is how you say his name, said. But Mike Pence, dude, what are you doing? It's not your responsibility, not your concern. Okay. So, anyway, it'll be fun next year. It'll be a fun year, right? To see what happens. It'll be interesting. Very, very interesting to see how it all pans out, how it all works out. So, pray for the country. We got to pray. I think there's been a lot of great things come out. I have not yet seen The Sound of Freedom, but it's doing very, very well. So that's great. I love that's doing really well, and people are going to see it. They're not being deterred by the sabotage or what the garbage the media is telling it about. So that's great. So hopefully you can have a chance to go support that movie, support what that is. Maybe this weekend I'll have some time to go see it. But hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. It's been great. It's been fun. Remember to go to Facebook, The Cade and Eric Show. Follow, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Rate on anywhere you listen to your podcast. Rate it 5 stars, please. That's we only accept 5 stars here because it's 5-star capability. And then, of course, on Twitter, Cade and Eric Show, True Social, Cade and Eric Show, as well as on TikTok. So go and check out some Common Sense Theater. It's very pompous, very, very arrogant. But it's a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun doing it. So hopefully we'll get a new Common Sense out tomorrow, because it's getting really late tonight, so I will not be doing a Common Sense tonight. So go check it out, subscribe, share, follow, and then rate wherever you listen to the podcast. Please rate. And again, thank you to the new listeners, of course, the ones that continue to listen. Thank you very, very much, and hopefully you have a great evening. And new episode next week.